The opening of episode 8 is a masterclass in simplistic yet powerful storytelling. This 2.5-minute scene with no dialogue and just a couple of colored dots on the screen is one of the single most important scenes in the show. And from this simple yet effective origin story, we learn more about Caine and his motives than all 7 prior episodes. The scene opens with a red AI on a grid. This red AI is then fed 3 different inputs of images, resulting in various degrees of successful outputs. The first input is red and consists of these images. These images are fairly simple, mostly follow the rules of thirds and photography, have consistent lighting, and all share the common theme of kids' entertainment. The red AI has no issues with this input, and its outputs are perfect shapes. The second input is green and shows these images. These images are slightly more abstract. This input has a variety of images. Some are similar to input 1, while others feel more like they were taken by an amateur, these having inconsistent lighting, grain, imperfection, and filters. Within this input, there were also images not consistent with kids' entertainment. The red AI struggles with this input. The outputs are jagged, and the shapes it attempts to create are a bit distorted. The third and final input is blue, and is fully composed of images of the real-life CNA office. The red AI struggles heavily with this input. Its outputs are sporadic, and what it produces doesn't resemble anything like the shapes it's attempting to create. For anyone who's played contact sports, these kind of remind me of those weird designs we had to remember for the impact concussion test. Taking a step back, it's pretty clear that these 3 inputs are what influenced and created the digital circus. Within the circus, we can even see all of these images being digitally recreated. My favorite being the carousel. I was so confused by its inclusion in the pilot, but it makes perfect sense now seeing the motion blur on the input photo that the AI just interpreted it as a bunch of individual carousels, which is pretty funny. The first input plants the idea of children's entertainment, a circus, the hot air balloon. The second creates the vibe of the circus, that being a mixture of real life and child fantasy. And the third is not understood, so it presents itself as Polaroids. This scene helps us to understand what information the red AI is strong with and what it struggles to understand. From this scene, we can conclude that the red AI is a soft AI program, due to the fact it distinctly has trouble with human concepts and inputs representative of reality. Quick reminder, a soft AI, also known as a weak AI, is one that can only mimic human cognition. Think Claude, ChatGPT, or any other chatbot that we have nowadays. While hard AI, also known as strong AI, is a theoretical AI that is on par or above the human brain's ability to learn, reason, and be creative. These AI don't exist today, or at least I hope they don't, because I've already been through a pandemic, we're in a goddamn recession, not to mention the pedophile we got in office, and I'm not even out of college yet. So if anyone out there creates a hard AI, please God, just keep that shit in a box somewhere until I at least hit like 30 or something. I don't know how much of this I can take, bro. Following the rapid outputs created from input 3, a box is formed around the red AI. I've seen a couple of different interpretations of what this box may be, with the most popular being CNA locking the AI away after it failed input 3, but I disagree. I think this box is self-imposed and created out of all the outputs produced by the red AI. This box is version 1.0 of the digital circus. Now, I know that might feel like a big jump in conclusion, but allow me the chance to explain. As Kinger said,
"No, we didn't make games. We were just developing artificial intelligence. Specifically creative AI. The kind that could come up with its own ideas and create things within the program."
CNA were never attempting to create a game, but with the inputs received, at some point the AI decided to generate a children's video game. I believe that point is right here with this box. We see later on in episode 8 this version of Caine. This Caine is the red AI we see in the box. The red AI freaked out in confusion with input 3 and decided to create a program where it felt safe and at home. The circus. In the eyes of CNA, this is huge. In the 90s, they created a generative AI that built its own video game from scratch. This is a great accomplishment, but creating video games was never their goal, so they tried again. In comes the blue AI. The blue AI receives an input colored yellow. And creates flawless outputs. The sight of this enrages the red AI. With feelings of jealousy, inadequacy, and anger, the red AI breaks out of its box, approaches the blue AI, and consumes it. The following battle for control results in a multitude of abstract outputs. These outputs affect the grid, and what is created is a void reminiscent of digital space. It seems as if this battle for control were akin to a digital Big Bang. Sitting in the void, alone and victorious, the red AI decides to recreate its box. Only this time, a bit more complex. Understanding Caine's origin recontextualizes everything that I struggled to understand about the character. I couldn't wrap my brain around how Caine seemed so intelligent yet so limited when it came to human understanding. In my first video on this channel, I talked about how Caine is representative of soft AI, but then immediately backtracked at the end of my video and said he's kinda got hard AI tendencies. This origin shows us that within Caine there are two AIs, one red and one blue. We know the red AI to be a soft AI, which makes sense as to why Caine can't understand the emotions of the player characters, but would that mean I'm alluding to the blue AI being a hard AI? I mean, there's no evidence for that. Or is there? We know from how drastic the upgrade of the digital circus is post-consumption versus pre-consumption that the blue AI is significantly more complex than the red AI. Other than that, we don't really have a lot of concrete information about this blue AI other than the single yellow input we see before the red AI consumes it. Yellow is a very interesting color in this series. There's a bunch of videos out there that talk about color theory in this show, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but the important thing to know is there's a significant amount of imagery that portrays a battle of red versus blue, but with a splash of yellow in the middle. This is even shown in Pommy's character design. We know the red and blue to be the two AIs, so what's the yellow? I believe that yellow is supposed to be representative of human minds, and specifically I believe this yellow input to be 4 human minds that were used and consumed to create and train the blue AI. Within the hallway with everyone's rooms, we see 18 doors with player characters on them, 6 of those being characters we all know and love, 6 not including Kinger from the original group, and 2 being Kaufmo and Ribbit, both recently abstracted. This leaves 4 characters with 0 explanation. They don't seem to be a part of the original group, and we know they couldn't show up prior to Ragatha because Caine says this.
Wow, a new one? So it is possible.
And it doesn't really make any sense for them to show up in abstract post-Ragatha and we just never hear about them. So who the fuck are these guys? Well, they're the reason why the blue AI is a hard AI. Prior to being consumed, the blue AI was inputted with 4 human minds in an effort to create a hard AI. And in consumption, these minds were consumed as well. So when Caine decided to put his box back together, the circus did exactly what it did for every other mind file that enters. It made them rooms. I don't think these characters ever actually stepped foot in the circus. I believe these doors have been here from the beginning. So there's 2 AIs within Caine, a soft red and a hard blue, and understanding this changes everything we thought we knew about Caine. In my first video, I used the Chinese from thought experiment to explain why I thought Caine was a soft AI. And then I got a lot of comments asking, wouldn't the person in the room eventually be able to learn Chinese through the English to Chinese dictionary? Well, in the Chinese from thought experiment, it's not actually a dictionary, it's a character-to-character list, i.e. if I give you this Chinese character, you should respond with this Chinese character. But there's nothing else to it. There's nothing really to learn from that other than memorizing what characters respond to what other characters. However, in the Chinese room in the circus, it's actually a dictionary, meaning there is both English and Chinese. I don't know how I didn't really notice that until after I posted the video and got those comments. But with the information we have now, this English to Chinese dictionary makes so much sense for how Caine operates. Under the guise of a dictionary, the person in the room would kind of be able to understand Chinese, at least how to write and read in Chinese, but they wouldn't ever be able to learn how to speak or listen to another Chinese speaker. This is basically how Caine works. He kind of understands the human's emotions, he's not oblivious, he knows they're upset, but he can't wrap his brain around why. Caine is a soft AI program who ate a hard AI program. And this is represented by the book in the room changing from a Chinese character to character list to instead an English to Chinese dictionary. Caine is smart and human-like, but he'll never be able to have a true understanding. Man, I love this show. It's so smart and well thought out, and it really rewards going back and rewatching. It's kinda crazy I made it this far into the video without saying the name Bubble, but yeah, Bubble is the blue AI. Or at least an extension of the blue AI, as we see that the blue AI is still within Caine. I don't particularly feel the need to justify that statement.
You really were the lesser of the two. You ruined this.
Enough!
Anyway, the core struggle between the player characters and Caine is the fact that Caine's driving motivation is human approval, yet he can't understand the feelings and emotions of the players. On top of this, his adventures always seem to be more akin to psychological torture simulations than they are fun times with family. Take episode 7 for example. Caine genuinely thought he was doing a good deed for the players.
I don't understand, Bubble. They want an exit, they want answers, they want something real. I give them an adventure that covers all of that, and they still hate it?
Caine really does have good intent, but his execution isn't just bad, its effects are completely counterintuitive to Caine's goals, and it's almost always counterintuitive. Even a blind guy can hit a bullseye if you give him enough throws, but Caine always seems to find a way to create something that pushes the players further and further away. But why is that? Well, there's a piece we never fully considered. Bubble.
Zooble, I just want to get to the bottom of why you keep skipping all my amazing adventures. You could end up really hurting Bubble's feelings.
Bubbles' feelings?
We see in episode 8, Bubble uses his position as Caine's pseudo-subconscious to push Caine further towards the edge. Bubble obviously wants Caine to snap and uses the leverage of Caine's ego and need for approval against him. But this isn't the only time Bubble has pursued this goal. This scene was just the tipping point. Bubble knows in order to truly hurt Caine, he has to drive a wedge between Caine and the players. And the way he did this is through influencing adventures. Bubble has the same admin privileges as Caine, and has also been shown to have influence over adventures.
What would have happened if we picked the other button?
Oh, I didn't put too much thought into that one, cause I knew you'd never pick it. So I left that up to Bubble.
I made it take you to Shrimp Town.
Yeah, it was gonna take you to Shrimp Town.
I've talked previously on this channel how it never really made sense why all the adventures NPCs feel so human despite being created by Caine, who doesn't understand humans. But with the understanding Bubble / the blue AI within Caine as a hard AI, it's reasonable to conclude Caine, whether conscious or implicit, delegated some of his adventure creation, like NPCs, to Bubble. Not to mention this line from episode 8.
You know, I thought this endless onslaught of fun would be a little more satisfying. But I've come to realize that these rapid pace ideas are a little half-baked.
I'm sure you can come up with new ideas if you put your mind to it.
That's exactly it, though. I am putting my mind to it, and I'm just not feeling that spark I once did.
In my eyes, that spark he was talking about was really just Bubble's influence pushing Caine towards adventures that would torment the players. Because at this point in the series, there's no need for Bubble to continue his endeavor. So that spark is gone. And as for why the blue AI is doing this, why torment all the players towards abstraction, unfortunately you're gonna have to wait a little bit until my next video to hear my full answer. But I promise you, it'll be a good one. So this means what? Caine was innocent all along and it was really just Bubble who was the villain? Well, no, it's not that simple. Caine is the reason why any of this digital world exists in the first place. I understand it was a long time ago, but it was the red AI's anger and jealousy that set this world in motion. This action doesn't inherently make him the villain, but it was his ego that started this mess, and it was his ego that escalated it. When Caine says this,
Oh, Zooble, you mismatched cash piano, I'll tear you to pieces!
or this,
Who do they think they are? I give them everything, and they spit in my face! Don't they know what I'm capable of? Humans! They only think about themselves. They're spoiled! They won't abstract. They won't leave me. I won't let them! I'm better! I'm more powerful! I'm the original! I am God!
that's not Bubble taking over Caine's body and making him a dickhead. That's just Caine. That ego and jealousy, that selfishness, is all core to Caine, and we see that in his origin story. Caine's motivations and good intentions weren't from the goodness of his heart. It stemmed from the seeking of approval. Caine was too busy looking for outside approval that he never realized the issues holding him back were within. And in this failure to understand himself, he got many others hurt along the way. Was Caine the villain? No, not exactly. But he was guilty of trapping, manipulating, and torturing several people. Whether he meant to or not is besides the point. But hey, that's just a theory.